day, everyone. This is Zhyra Cinco
And I am Ashley Baluarte.
presenting the 1 and 2 sample C test for our research performance task. So, for today's topic, we will be discussing the 1 sample C test. It is a statistical test for the mean of population used for finding the significant difference. So we have here the formula for the one sample C test, where x with the bar is the sample mean, mu for the population mean, O and S for population and sample standard deviation, and N for the sample size. For the critical value of Z, we will be using this critical value throughout this discussion of this topic. So we have here the first problem. Does an average sack of cream flour contains more than 110 pounds of flour? A researcher took a 40 sample sack of flour and showed the mean of 100 and a standard deviation of 8. Test the claim at the level at 0.025 level of significance. So for the first step, we will be stating the hypothesis and identify the claim. So the null hypothesis says that the mu is equal to 110 pounds. But in our alternative hypothesis is mu is greater than 110 pounds. More than is the keyword, YHA is greater than. Second, set the level of significance and determine the critical value of K. So it is given here that we should test our claim in 0.05 level of significance. So we will be checking if it's true or our critical value is right. So it's showed here that 0.05 in right-tailed is 1.96. So it will fall right into this right rejection region. For the third step, we'll be giving the given problems where x is the sample mean, mu for the population mean, O for the standard deviation, and N for the sample size. We have 100 for the sample mean, 110 for the population mean, 8 for the population standard deviation, and 40 for the sample size. Then we will be using this formula to get to get the value of our one sample C test. So we substitute the given to our formula and we had the 7 - 7.9 T as our answer. And it falls right into our acceptance region. So that means that our decision for this problem is accept the HO. And the conclusion for this problem is there is enough evidence to conclude that the average sack of cream flour is more than 110 pounds. For the next problem, the mean weight of house cat in every Filipino household is 3.6 kilograms. A researcher took a random sample of 50 household cats and ended up with a mean weight of 4.5 kilograms with a standard deviation of 2 kilograms. Test the claim at 0.10 level of significance. So like we did a while ago, first step is to state the hypothesis and identify the claim. Since there is no claim if it increased or decreased, we are going to use the sign of not equal sign for our HA or alternative. Second, set the level of significance and determine the critical value of safe. So it's a two-tailed test, so we are going to plot the rejection region in each side of the rejection region. The next step, we again also give the given and substitute it to our formula, and we had the answer 3.18. 3.18 falls right into the rejection region, so our decision will be reject the HO or null hypothesis. For the conclusion, There is enough evidence to conclude that the mean weight of house cat in Filipino household is not equal to 3.6 kilograms. And that's it for one sample C test.
Okay, now, so let's proceed to two sample citas. So, two sample z-test is used to test the significance difference between two sample mean when the sample standard deviation is known and the number of cases is more than or equal to 30. So, here's the formula that we're going to use for the two sample zeta. So, z is equal to x sub 1 or the sample mean 1 minus x sub 2 over divided by the square root of standard deviation squared minus standard deviation squared over n1 plus n2. So, here is the critical value of say. So, dito makikita natin kung anong level of significance ang gagamitin natin and what kind of test ang gagamitin natin. So, problem number 1. A sample of 100 agasse is selected from a normal population with a sample mean of 3.75 and a sample standard deviation of 0.65. Another sample of 50 army is selected from a normal population with a sample mean of 3.60 and a sample standard deviation of 0.52. Test the hypothesis sample mean 1 is equal to sample mean 2 at 1%. So in this problem, the first step is we need to state the hypothesis and identify the claim. So for our HO, it's sample mean 1 is equal to sample mean 2. And for our HA, it's sample mean 1 is not equal to sample mean 2. Since wala namang kinlaim yung ating researcher, we're going to use the two-tailed test. For the second step, we need to set the level of significance. So our level of significance is 1%. So para mas madali natin siyang makuha, we need to go for it for the decimal. So magiging 0.01. And the critical value for 0.01 is positive negative 2.58. Okay, ang third steps is to calculate the value of two sample z-tests. So, our given is the sample mean 1 is equal to 3.75 and the sample mean 2 is equal to 3.60. So, next is the sample size. So, ang sample size natin is ang 100 agasse. And the standard deviation is 0.65. So, for sample mean 2, we have 3.60 and sample size of 50, which are the 50 army, and the standard deviation of 0.52. So, we need to use, to find the z, we need to use this formula. Z is equal to sample mean 1 minus sample mean 2 over divided by the square root of standard deviation 1 squared minus standard deviation 2 squared over n1 plus n2. So, we need to substitute yung nakuha natin given. So, Z is equal to 3.75 minus 3.60 divided by the square root of 0.65 squared minus 0.52 squared over 100 plus 50. And we will get the z is equal to 4.71. So, yung nakuha nating z is babagsak siya sa ating rejection region dahil lumagpas na siya sa ating positive 2.58. Kaya ang decision natin is reject the HO. So, now we're going to state the conclusion. So, dahil nga na-reject natin, we can say that there is enough evidence to conclude that sample mean 1 is not equal to sample mean 2. Okay, now let's go for our second problem. So, a research want to compare the number of people who like watching K-drama and C-drama. A sample of 80 teenagers who likes watching K-drama is selected from a population with a sample mean of 22.1 and a sample standard deviation of 8. Another sample of 50 teenager who likes to watch C-drama is selected from a population with a sample mean of 15.1 and a sample standard deviation 5.4. At 0.10 significant level, can it be inferred that teenager who wants K-drama is significantly larger than teenager who watch C-drama? So first step, let's state the hypothesis and identify the claim. So RHO is sample mean 1 is equal to sample mean 2, and HA is sample mean 1 greater than sample mean 2. Since sinabi dito na kung more than ba yung nagwa-watch ng K-drama kaysa sa nagwa-watch ng C-drama. So we're going to use the right tail. Okay, second step, set the level of significance. So, ang level of significance natin is 0.10 and ang critical value na niya is positive 1.28. And okay, third step is to calculate the value of two sample zeta. So, okay, we have here the given. The sample mean 1 is equal to 22.1. The sample size is equal to 80 and our standard deviation is equal to 8. And for the next data, we have here the sample mean 2 is equal to 15.1 and sample size of 50 and a standard deviation of 5.4. So just like from the problem 1, we're going to use this formula. Z is equal to sample mean 1 minus sample mean 2 divided by the square root of sample standard deviation squared minus standard deviation squared over n1 plus n2. So substitute lang din. So z is equal to 22.1 minus 15.1 divided by the square root of 8 squared minus 5.4 squared over 80 plus 50, and we will get z is equal to 13.52. So dahil nga nakuha natin is 13.52, ito ay babagsak sa ating rejection region na rejects kasi lumagpas na siya sa positive 1.28. So ang magiging decision natin is to reject the HO. So, dahil na-reject natin ang HO, we can say that there is enough evidence to conclude the claim that teenager who watch K-drama is significantly larger than teenager who watch C-drama. So, and that's it for the two sample C tests. So, that's all. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you po.
Thank you po.